In this video, I will talk about the budgeting. And for a company's situation during an accounting year will probably not remain the same during the year ahead. This means that, of course, it's possible that a lot of things will change, and therefore the company needs to take into consideration the changes ahead. Changes must be allowed for when drawing up the profit and loss budget for the year ahead. One thing we can talk about is changes in the external circumstances. Among other things, a company's financial development during the year ahead is influenced by a range of factors which are beyond the company's control. These are things that a company has very little influence over. The economy is changing all the time. As we saw in 2008, we suddenly had the financial crisis that every company had to take into consideration drawing up the budget for the year ahead. This caused a lot of people to be fired from their work. A lot of investments were taken off the table for companies. And for instance, companies need to consider inflation also salary levels, interest rates, and energy prices. As we have seen in the recent years, we saw the oil price drop to a dramatic point of $50 per barrel, where before it was much more expensive. New legislation can also influence a company's freedom of action. Legislation on the environment, tax issues, marketing, for instance. The fishermen in Denmark are at the moment experiences tough competition, and also with new regulations from the European Union. They are in hard competition with other fishermen in the rest of Europe, and of course also very much influenced by the law. In marketing efforts, companies need to allow for constant changes in customers' requirements and purchasing power, changes in fashion, consumer attitudes, etc. As we have seen in recent years, we have seen a company like Apple introducing the iWatch, a product they believe would be very successful. Instead, we have seen a consumer fashion trend increasing much more towards old-fashioned vintage watches from years many years old. Suddenly, we can also see a rise in competition. We can also see suddenly a new player will make its debut and will try to compete in the industry, and therefore a company can also be met by increasing competition. Many years ago, not more than 10 years ago, the huge player in home entertainment was Blockbuster. Then suddenly we saw the arrival of Netflix, and today Blockbuster is no longer here, and Netflix is a huge company. This was all because of a rise in competition and changes in external circumstances. Then we see also suppliers. Suddenly suppliers can change their mind on the delivery. They can change their mind on prices. This can have major influence on the business. So based on changes in internal situation, capacity, activity, and so on, and also the external situations, a company can draw up a provisional profit and loss budget. This is based on the profit and loss account for the previous year, on any changes in external and internal circumstances that the company can actually see will happen. This means that if they can look into the future and see, okay, here we will not be able to sell as much as we did last year. Here we will not be able to make as many orders, and here we'll have to pay our suppliers more. In these situations, we see that the company can draw up a provisional profit and loss budget, and this is kind of the way they assume that the year will look the year ahead.